So we're at the DARPA Lift Challenge, and this is our buddy Brandt that we met. He's next door to our, booth area, I guess.
Hangar
Slot. Yeah, these tents are the hangars, so that was funny. But do you have any idea how many parts total went into this?
Well, look at that, Do you have any idea how many parts are in a Tinker Toy set?
Oh my gosh, that's kind of what it looks like.
Yeah.
So, Brandt, what is this crazy contraption? Tell me about it. What does it do?
Essentially, this is a very large 22 by 11 foot wing.
Okay.
So it's supposed to have about a 220 foot, 230 foot, square foot area. Essentially operating
That's
like
huge.
a paraglider.
Yeah.
Of course, some substructure here. It's just there for ground handling and ground support. So the tilt rotor system in the front, it can tilt up 90 or down 90.
Okay.
And vectored thrust for yaw control. So you've got brute force pitch control, vectored yaw control, and then you got port propellers. The idea is that you shoot the wing up as an emissary, and it leaves a cord behind to a winch.
Can we look at the winch real quick?
Yeah, sure. Essentially, I had to kind of design my own because I needed something that it didn't need to lift what your normal winch would be capable of towing around, but
Yeah.
it did need to be fast and be capable of lifting maybe up to 200 pounds or so. So it's just a couple of motors, you got a gear reduction and a drum. Essentially had to slap that together as fast as I could.
Yeah.
And that's actually one of the primary power components of the system, because what happens is when the wing is up and level, then leaves the cord behind, the winch on the ground with the payload, and it's supposed to just yank that right up into the sky.
Well, it kind of like goes back and forth, right? Like,
Yeah. Once it comes,
pump it,
once it
is
comes
that-
up, then you're airborne with it, and you can start climbing even with the assisted thrust here. But you also have another propulsion element where it's supposed to oscillate the distance between the wing and the payload, and that's supposed to give you sort of a hydrofoil board kind of silent propulsion, if you like. And so that's got its own power system, its own receiver, separate from the plane, and that's pretty much the explanation.
have you seen, you know what like a ripstick is when you stand on like those skateboards with like two wheels?
Oh, yeah.
And you're like shaking your back leg.
You're waving
That's
it
kind of what
around.
I'm imagining, but like almost vertically instead.
Yeah, similar to
Like
that.
pumping
yeah.
it to like, that's really cool. I never would have thought of that kind of thing. How many props do you have on it when it is fully assembled?
So there's 4 total, but
Okay.
on the tilt rotor system, you just have 2 in the
two
front there. Yeah,
on the front.
and then
That's right.
these
Because
ones-
this is the tilt rotor part, right?
Yeah.
Am I okay to just tilt that a little bit? Okay.
It's partially broken anyway.
Assuming
but-
it would be connected over there.
Yep, they
Yeah,
would go
okay.
together.
Cool.
And essentially those would tilt back. That would lean your craft back, pointed at the sky.
Yeah.
And then at that point, you've got 4 props pointed at the sky.
I see.
But they're smaller props than you see around here, mostly because this part is meant to operate at peak power for a short period of time.
Okay.
And then they kind of operate at nominal or low power
Right.
while you're using the winch system to try to propel.
How big are your props on here? Do you know?
There's 15-inch props.
15? Okay, cool.
Yeah, I was saying I iterated through probably hundreds of components. I've got
Oh, yeah.
these. I was working on the system trying to make it so that it was very collapsible. I call it a tensegrity structure, bistable, because it's supposed to collapse down into a very
You have
small
these
structure.
lines here to hold it
Yeah.
up. Yeah.
And then you got compliant, compression members and tension lines and things, and you're supposed to be able to eventually get it to the point where it can collapse down to a very small space, and then
Easy to transport.
easy to transport, easy to deploy, and that was one of the main pros that I was trying to design around.
That looks really cool.
Material. Oh yeah, it's kind of a standard paraglider, hang glider type setup where this is ripstop nylon. That's actually one of the harder components to install when it comes down to it, because you're trying to get these actually bow into an airfoil shape when you actually have all of your lines in, and so you're actually kind of shaping this thing with tension.
Okay.
But the goal was, of course.
I didn't realize that. So these are kind of like ribs inside of the wing.
Yeah, they're
Okay.
and that actually last time I had it set up, I actually had that.
Yeah.
But you need tension going this way.
Right.
And you're not adding much weight every time you add a tension line, but you're actually shaping the thing.
Yeah.
But it was really hard to attempt to have all of your lines pre-rigged and ready to go if it's not something that just pops into existence. It's something that you have to reassemble, and that became an issue for travel.
Yeah, I mean, it can be a work in progress, right? You can make some improvements to it.
I'd love to work on those 2 concepts, collapsible deployable, and another method of propulsion, another
Yeah.
method of lifting. I like it all. I'm happy with the ideas, and I think I put my all into it, But
And that feels good to just put your all
yeah,
into
when you
it.
put it all in line, it feels
Yeah.
good.
What
Yeah,
what
absolutely.
gave you this idea, or why'd you decide to pursue this over a different design?
Well, I knew I had a good idea of what kinds of things would be out there. I really had a high confidence that it was going to be very hard to sustain a load in the air without using a lot of energy, and energy is weight, because whether you go the gas route or the battery route, that's always going to consume a lot of your mass budget.
True.
And I knew that, and eventually, when you go far enough down the design path and you've got a timeline, you
Exactly.
have to stick on one path or you're dead.
Yes, exactly.
And even if you do, you might be dead.
Yeah. Very true. Cool. Well, that's awesome. Yeah, I think we're good. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely.